The Fender Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster stands as one of the most valuable guitars ever sold, reaching an astounding price of $2.07 million at auction, making it a legendary instrument in the world of music memorabilia. This 2004 Fender Stratocaster is not just an ordinary guitar. It represents a moment in history where music legends united for a humanitarian cause, creating something that would forever be remembered as a symbol of compassion, generosity, and solidarity. The guitar's incredible value stems from multiple factors, including its association with some of the greatest rock musicians of all time, its role in raising funds for a devastating natural disaster, and the unique circumstances that brought together these legendary artists for a single, noble purpose. The story of this remarkable guitar begins in the aftermath of one of the most catastrophic natural disasters in modern history, the Indian Ocean tsunami that struck on December 26, 2004, devastating coastal communities across multiple countries in Asia. The tsunami, triggered by a massive undersea earthquake off the coast of Sumatra, Indonesia, killed over 230,000 people across 14 countries, with Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India, and Thailand being among the hardest hit regions. The scale of the destruction was unprecedented. Entire villages were wiped out, families were torn apart, and millions of people were left homeless, injured, or without access to basic necessities like food, water, and medical care. The international community watched in horror as the tragedy unfolded, and people from all walks of life began searching for ways to contribute to the relief efforts to help those who had lost everything in the blink of an eye. In the music world, artists and musicians felt compelled to use their platform and influence to make a difference, to leverage their fame and talent, to raise awareness and funds for the victims of this terrible disaster. The idea of creating something special, something that would capture the attention of music lovers and collectors worldwide, began to take shape among those who wanted to contribute meaningfully to the relief efforts. This is where the concept of the Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster was born, a guitar that would be signed by some of the most iconic figures in rock and roll history, creating an artifact that would be both historically significant and incredibly valuable. The guitar would serve as a bridge between the world of music and the world of humanitarian aid, demonstrating how art and compassion could combine to create positive change in the face of unimaginable tragedy. The guitar itself is a 2004 Fender Stratocaster, a model that has been the instrument of choice for countless legendary musicians since its introduction in 1954, making it one of the most recognizable and beloved guitars in the history of rock music. The Stratocaster's distinctive design, featuring its contoured body, 3 single-coil pickups, and synchronized tremolo bridge, has made it an icon of electric guitar design and a staple of rock, blues, and pop music for over 70 years. Fender guitars have been played by virtually every major guitarist in popular music, from Jimi Hendrix to Stevie Ray Vaughan, from Buddy Holly to John Mayer, cementing the Stratocaster's place as one of the most important instruments in the development of modern music. The choice of a Stratocaster for this charitable project was perfect, as it represented not just quality craftsmanship and timeless design, but also the very essence of rock and roll itself, making it the ideal canvas for the signatures of the world's greatest rock musicians. The lineup of musicians who signed the Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster reads like a who's who of rock and roll royalty, representing multiple generations and styles of music, all united by their legendary status and their desire to help those in need. Eric Clapton, often regarded as one of the greatest guitarists of all time, brought his incredible legacy to the project, having influenced countless musicians with his blues-based playing style and his work with bands like Cream, Derek and the Dominoes, and his successful solo career. Jimmy Page, the mastermind behind Led Zeppelin's groundbreaking sound, and the architect of some of rock's most iconic riffs, added his signature to the guitar, representing the hard rock and blues tradition that defined the 1970s. Brian May, the Queen guitarist known for his distinctive sound created with his homemade red special guitar and his innovative approach to guitar orchestration, brought the spirit of arena, rock, and theatrical performance to the project. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, the legendary duo from the Rolling Stones who have defined rock and roll for over 6 decades, both signed the guitar, representing the raw energy, rebellious spirit, and enduring appeal of rock music, at its most primal and exciting. The Rolling Stones have been called the world's greatest rock and roll band, and their contribution to this charitable project added immeasurable value, both in terms of their historical significance and their continued relevance in popular culture. Paul McCartney, the former Beatle whose songwriting partnership with John Lennon created some of the most beloved and influential music of the 20th century, completed the extraordinary lineup, bringing with him the legacy of the Beatles and his subsequent successful solo career. These 6 musicians, each a legend in their own right, each with countless hit records, sold-out tours, and millions of devoted fans, came together to sign this single instrument, creating something that was greater than the sum of its already impressive parts. The significance of having all these signatures on one guitar cannot be overstated, as it represents a once-in-a-lifetime convergence of talent, fame, and goodwill that would be virtually impossible to replicate under any other circumstances. These are musicians who have typically maintained busy, separate schedules, touring the world, recording albums, and pursuing their individual artistic visions, making it extraordinarily rare for them to collaborate on any single project. The fact that they all agreed to sign this guitar for a charitable cause speaks to the severity of the tsunami disaster and the universal desire to help those affected by it, transcending personal differences, competitive spirits, or scheduling conflicts. Each signature on the guitar represents not just a famous name, but decades of musical innovation, cultural impact, and artistic achievement, making the instrument a tangible connection to some of the most important moments in rock and roll history. The auction of the Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster was a highly anticipated event, generating significant media attention and attracting bidders from around the world who were eager to own a piece of music history while contributing to a cause. The guitar was auctioned as part of a larger fundraising effort, with all proceeds going to support tsunami relief efforts in the affected regions, ensuring that the money raised would go directly to helping rebuild communities, provide medical care, and support families who had lost everything. The final sale price of $2.07 million shattered expectations and set records for the price paid for a guitar at auction, demonstrating the incredible power of celebrity, music, and charitable giving when combined in a meaningful way. The person who purchased the guitar not only acquired an extraordinary piece of memorabilia, but also made a substantial contribution to helping those in desperate need, making the purchase both a personal acquisition and an act of humanitarian compassion. The value of the Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster goes far beyond its monetary price, as it represents a unique moment in time when music legends set aside their individual pursuits to support a common cause, demonstrating the power of collective action and the responsibility that comes with fame and influence. In a world where celebrity is often associated with self-promotion and personal gain, this guitar stands as a reminder that artists can use their platform for good, leveraging their popularity to draw attention to important issues and mobilize resources to address them. The guitar serves as a symbol of hope and resilience, showing that even in the face of unimaginable tragedy, humanity can come together, support one another, and work toward healing and recovery. The fact that this message is embodied in a musical instrument makes it even more powerful, as music itself is a universal language that transcends borders, cultures, and differences, bringing people together through shared emotions and experiences. Each signature on the guitar tells its own story, representing not just an individual musician, but an entire era of music and cultural history that shaped the world we live in today. Eric Clapton's signature evokes memories of Layla, Tears in Heaven, and countless blues performances that have moved audiences to tears and inspired generations of guitarists to pick up the instrument. Jimmy Page's signature brings to mind the thunderous riffs of Whole Lotta Love, the mystical beauty of Stairway to Heaven, and the revolutionary production techniques that made Led Zeppelin one of the most influential bands in rock history. Brian May's signature represents the operatic grandeur of Queen, the anthemic quality of We Will Rock You and Bohemian Rhapsody, and the innovative guitar sounds that push the boundaries of what rock music could be. Mick Jagger's signature embodies the swagger, energy, and attitude that have made the Rolling Stones an enduring force in popular music for over 60 years, from Satisfaction to Paint It Black to Start Me Up, and beyond. Keith Richards' signature represents the raw, primal power of rock and roll guitar playing, the iconic riffs that have defined countless Stones classics, and the rebellious spirit that has made him one of the most recognizable figures in music history. Paul McCartney's signature connects the guitar to the Beatles, the most successful and influential band of all time, whose music fundamentally changed the landscape of popular culture, and whose songs continue to resonate with new generations of listeners decades after they were first recorded. Together, these signatures create a tapestry of rock and roll history, spanning from the British invasion of the 1960s through the hard rock revolution of the 1970s and into the present day. The charitable nature of this guitar sale adds another layer of meaning and value to an already extraordinary object, transforming it from a mere collectible into a force for positive change in the world. The $2. $7 million raised from the sale of this single instrument provided substantial support for tsunami relief efforts, helping to fund reconstruction projects, medical facilities, clean water systems, and educational programs in the devastated regions. Every dollar raised represented an opportunity to save lives, rebuild communities, and restore hope to people who had experienced unimaginable loss and suffering. The guitar became a tool for healing, not through its music, but through its ability to mobilize resources and draw attention to the needs of those affected by the disaster. This charitable aspect elevates the guitar beyond the realm of simple memorabilia, making it a symbol of compassion, generosity, and the belief that we have a responsibility to help those in need, regardless of where they live or what circumstances brought about their suffering. The Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster also represents a fascinating intersection of art, commerce, and philanthropy, demonstrating how objects can accumulate value through association, context, and the stories that surround them. In purely material terms, the guitar is a well-made but relatively standard Fender Stratocaster, worth perhaps a few $1,000s at most based on its construction and components alone. However, the signatures transform it into something far more valuable, imbuing it with historical significance, cultural cachet, and emotional resonance that multiply its worth exponentially. This phenomenon illustrates how value in the collectibles market is often more about intangible qualities like authenticity, provenance, and cultural meaning than about the physical properties of the object itself. The guitar's value is inseparable from its story, from the circumstances of its creation, from the legendary figures who touched it, and from the humanitarian purpose it served. For collectors of music memorabilia, the Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster represents the ultimate acquisition, a piece that combines rarity, authenticity, historical significance, and a connection to multiple legendary artists in a single object. Most collectors must choose between items associated with different artists, perhaps owning a guitar used by one musician or a signed album from another. But this guitar offers connections to 6 legendary musicians simultaneously, making it a uniquely comprehensive piece of rock and roll history. The guitar would be the centerpiece of any collection, a conversation starter, a source of pride, and a tangible link to some of the most important figures in the history of popular music. Its value as a collectible is likely to appreciate over time, as these musicians pass into history and items directly associated with them become increasingly rare and sought after by museums, institutions, and wealthy collectors. The guitar also serves as a reminder of the power and responsibility that comes with celebrity and artistic success, showing how influential figures can leverage their fame to make a real difference in the world. In an era where celebrity culture is often criticized for being shallow, self-absorbed, and disconnected from the concerns of ordinary people, the Reach Out to Asia project demonstrated that famous musicians can use their platform for more than just self-promotion or commercial gain. By lending their names and signatures to this charitable effort, these legendary musicians showed leadership, compassion, and a recognition that their success brings with it an obligation to give back and support those less fortunate. Their participation in the project likely inspired others to contribute to tsunami relief efforts, amplifying the impact beyond just the money raised from the guitar's sale, and encouraging fans around the world to open their hearts and wallets to support the cause. The creation of the Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster also highlights the unique role that music plays in bringing people together across cultural, linguistic, and geographical boundaries, serving as a universal language that can communicate emotions, build connections, and inspire action in ways that words alone cannot. Music has the power to move us, to make us feel deeply, to transport us to different times and places, and to create shared experiences that bind us together as human beings. The musicians who signed this guitar have all contributed to this universal musical language, creating songs and performances that have touched billions of people across the globe, transcending differences in nationality, religion, race, or social class. By using a musical instrument as the vehicle for their charitable contribution, these artists emphasize the connection between music and humanity, between art and compassion, between creativity and social responsibility. The 2004 tsunami and the response it generated also marked a significant moment in the evolution of global humanitarian efforts, as the scale of the disaster and the international response demonstrated both the vulnerability of coastal communities to natural disasters and the capacity of the global community to mobilize quickly when confronted with catastrophic need. The fundraising efforts, including the sale of the Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster, were part of a broader wave of charitable giving that raised billions of dollars for relief and reconstruction in the affected regions. This outpouring of generosity showed that despite all the conflicts, divisions, and disagreements that characterize international relations, humanity retains the capacity for empathy, compassion, and collective action when faced with suffering on a massive scale. The guitar stands as a monument to this moment, a physical reminder of a time when the world came together to support those in desperate need. The story of the Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster also raises interesting questions about the nature of value, authenticity, and meaning in the modern world, particularly in relation to celebrity culture and the market for memorabilia. What makes this guitar worth $2.07 million? Is it the physical object itself? Or is it the signatures, the associations, the story, the charitable purpose, or some combination of all these factors? The guitar forces us to confront the reality that much of what we value in contemporary culture is intangible, based on narratives, connections, and cultural meanings, rather than on intrinsic material worth. In this sense, the guitar is a perfect symbol of the information age, where value increasingly derives from ideas, stories, and associations rather than from physical properties alone. The guitar's worth lies not in its wood, metal, and electronics, but in its ability to connect us to larger narratives about music history, humanitarian action, and the power of collective celebrity for good. For the musicians themselves, participation in the Reach Out to Asia project offered an opportunity to contribute to a cause that transcended their individual careers and artistic legacies, allowing them to use their fame for a purpose beyond entertainment or commercial success. While these artists have all enjoyed tremendous financial success and widespread acclaim throughout their careers, the Tsunami Project allowed them to demonstrate that their work and their influence could serve a higher purpose, helping those in desperate need and making a tangible difference in the lives of disaster survivors. The project showed that rock and roll, often associated with rebellion, hedonism, and commercial excess, could also be a force for social good, a vehicle for compassion, and a means of mobilizing resources to address humanitarian crises. This dimension of the project may have been personally meaningful to the participating musicians, offering them a chance to give back and use their success to benefit others in a direct and measurable way. The guitar's design and physical characteristics, while secondary to its associations and story, are nonetheless worth considering as part of its overall significance and appeal. The Fender Stratocaster has long been celebrated for its elegant functional design, with its contoured body providing comfort for the player, its 3-pickup configuration offering tonal versatility, and its synchronized tremolo system allowing for expressive pitch, bending, and vibrato effects. The Stratocaster's design has proven so successful and enduring that it has remained largely unchanged since its introduction in 1954, a testament to Leo Fender's genius as an instrument designer and his understanding of what musicians needed from their guitars. The choice of a Stratocaster for this project was not arbitrary. It represented the quintessential electric guitar, an instrument that has been central to the development of rock, blues, pop, and countless other genres of popular music over the past 7 decades. The signatures themselves, carefully placed on the guitar's body, represent not just the names of famous musicians, but also physical traces of their presence, moments when these legendary figures held the instrument in their hands and marked it with their personal mark. In a very real sense, the signatures are relics, physical evidence of contact between the guitar and these iconic individuals, creating a direct, tangible connection between the object and the musicians that goes beyond mere symbolism or representation. For fans and collectors, this physical connection is incredibly powerful, offering a sense of proximity to figures who might otherwise seem distant, untouchable, or larger than life. The signatures transform the guitar from a manufactured object into something personal, something that bears the literal mark of human hands and human presence, making it a more intimate and meaningful artifact. The auction process itself was a significant event, drawing attention from media outlets around the world and creating a moment of collective focus on both the guitar and the cause it was meant to support. Auctions have a unique ability to generate excitement, drama, and public interest as bidders compete against each other and prices climb higher and higher, creating suspense about who will ultimately win and how much they will pay. The Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster auction capitalized on this dynamic, turning the sale of a single guitar into a global news story that drew attention to the ongoing needs of tsunami survivors and the importance of continued humanitarian support. The auction format also ensured that the guitar would fetch the highest possible price, maximizing the funds available for relief efforts and ensuring that the charitable purpose behind the project would be as effective as possible. The competitive bidding process demonstrated the intense desire among collectors to own this unique piece of history, with the final price reflecting both the guitar's extraordinary provenance and the winner's commitment supporting the cause. The cultural impact of the Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster extends beyond the immediate fundraising success, as it has become a symbol of how the music industry can respond to humanitarian crises and use its influence for positive social impact. A project has inspired other musicians and artists to think about how they can leverage their fame and fan base to support charitable causes, whether through benefit concerts, special auctions, or other creative fundraising efforts. The guitar demonstrates that people are willing to pay premium prices for items that combine cultural significance with charitable purpose, opening up new possibilities for fundraising that go beyond traditional donation, appeals, or benefit performances. The success of this project has likely influenced how other musicians and celebrities approach charitable giving, showing that creative, high-profile projects can generate both substantial funds and significant media attention for important causes. Looking back on the Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster from our perspective in 2025, the guitar remains a powerful symbol of a specific moment in history when natural disaster brought global attention to the vulnerability of coastal communities and the need for international cooperation in disaster response. The 2004 tsunami was a watershed moment in many ways, leading to improved early warning systems, better disaster preparedness in vulnerable regions, and greater international coordination in humanitarian response. The guitar, with its $2 That's $2. 7 million price tag, and its roster of legendary signatures stands as a monument to the human capacity for generosity and compassion in the face of tragedy, reminding us that even in our darkest moments, we can come together to support one another and work toward healing and recovery. The guitar's continued value and significance demonstrate that objects can serve as more than just personal possessions or financial investments. They can embody values, tell stories, and connect us to larger historical narratives that give meaning to our lives. The preservation and future of the Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster raise interesting questions about how such significant artifacts should be maintained, displayed, and shared with the public in the years ahead. The current owner of the guitar faces important decisions about whether to keep it as a private possession, to lend it to museums for public display, or eventually to donate or sell it to an institution that can ensure its long-term preservation and accessibility. Given the guitar's historical significance and its connection to multiple legendary musicians, there is a strong argument that it belongs in a museum or public collection where it can be appreciated by music fans, students of rock history, and the general public. At the same time, the person who paid $2.07 million for the guitar has legitimate ownership rights and may wish to keep it as a private possession, enjoying it personally rather than sharing it with the world. This tension between private ownership and public interest is common with significant cultural artifacts, and there is no easy answer to how it should be resolved. The guitar also serves as a fascinating case study in the economics of celebrity and the market for music memorabilia, illustrating how fame, authenticity, and provenance can create extraordinary value in objects that might otherwise be relatively ordinary. The market for music memorabilia has grown dramatically in recent decades, driven by wealthy collectors, nostalgia for classic rock era, and the recognition that significant artifacts from music history are finite resources that will only become scarcer as time passes. Guitars, clothing, handwritten lyrics, and other items associated with famous musicians have fetched increasingly high prices at auction, with the Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster standing near the top of this market in terms of price and significance. The guitar's value reflects several factors, including the fame of the musicians involved, the rarity of having multiple signatures on a single instrument, the charitable purpose behind its creation, and the broader cultural significance of rock and roll as a defining art form of the 20th and early 21st centuries. The story of the Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster also highlights the importance of context and provenance in determining the value and significance of cultural objects, showing how the circumstances surrounding an item's creation and use can dramatically affect its meaning and worth. A Fender Stratocaster signed by random people would be worth little more than an unsigned guitar. But the same instrument, signed by some of the greatest rock musicians of all time, becomes a priceless artifact, a piece of cultural history that connects us to legendary figures and important moments in the development of popular music and life. This principle applies across the world of collectibles and antiques, where items associated with famous people, important events, or significant historical moments command premium prices because of these associations, regardless of their intrinsic material value. The Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster perfectly illustrates this principle, showing how context and story can transform an ordinary object into something extraordinary. In conclusion, the Fender Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster represents far more than just an expensive guitar. It is a symbol of compassion, a monument to rock and roll history, a testament to the power of celebrity for good, and a reminder of humanity's capacity for generosity in the face of tragedy. The guitar's $2.07 million sale price reflects its unique combination of musical significance, charitable purpose, and connection to some of the greatest artists in the history of popular music, making it one of the most valuable and meaningful guitars ever created. The signatures of Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, Brian May, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Paul McCartney transform the instrument from a mere object into a cultural artifact, a tangible link to the legends who shaped rock and roll and influenced generations of musicians and fans. The guitar's creation in response to the 2004 tsunami adds another layer of meaning, connecting it to a specific moment of tragedy and global response, reminding us of the devastating power of natural disasters and the importance of international humanitarian cooperation. Whether displayed in a museum, treasured as a private collection, or eventually returned to auction, the Reach Out to Asia Stratocaster will continue to captivate music fans, inspire charitable giving, and stand as a powerful symbol of how art, celebrity, and compassion can combine to make a real difference in the world, demonstrating that sometimes the most valuable things are those that connect us to something larger than ourselves, to history, to great artists, and to our shared humanity.